Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Vanda blooms up against a background of snow. Wow, now that is a beautiful sight. I love the month of December. It's one of my favorite times of the year. When you grow orchids, you usually have lots of blooms and lots of spikes. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, what my plans are with one of my orchids that has not spiked for me in almost 3 years. All of my phalenopsis orchids that should be spiking at this time are spiking, which is really, really good news. As you see, I've got a good spike here. I've got one growing here. Oh, here's Baldwin's kaleidoscope. That's a good spike starting here. Here's my phal legato. I have a secondary spike here, and I also have a primary spike right here. So I've got lots and lots of spikes, and I have one that is not spiking. So I'm going to show you what my plans are for this one phal that I have that just won't spike. And this is the one I'm referring to. This is a little green miniature. It has an absolutely fabulous lime green bloom on it. And I've had it for almost 3 years. It's never rebloomed for me. As you see, the foliage is healthy. The root system is awesome. So I can't figure out why this little miniature just won't rebloom for me. Sometimes I have waited as long as a year or two for them to rebloom. And I really don't think much about that because when you first bring them home, you have to remember that they've been growing in greenhouses where they have ideal situations. They've been given the ideal amount of light, the ideal amount of fertilizer. And so many times when you bring them home, I think sometimes they go through an adjustment period. So if they wait a year or two to bloom, I don't think much about it at all. Normally they start blooming for you and they bloom beautifully after that. This one just seems to be sitting here, growing leaves and growing roots and not spiking. So I've been fertilizing it the same as the others, and I've also been feeding it with some Epsom salts twice a month, thinking, maybe a little bit of magnesium would help things. It's still just sitting here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try using a bloom booster on this one. Phosphorus promotes blooming. So I'm thinking that if I can give it a lower dose of nitrogen, higher dose of phosphate than my other fertilizer. Now my other fertilizer that I use is a 20, 14, 13. So I'm wondering if I invert the nitrogen and the phosphate, if I give less nitrogen and more phosphate, if that won't cause it to bloom or wake it up. I'm going to use a very low dose. I'm just going to use about 150 to 200 parts per million. On the bag, on the bloom booster bag directions, it says to give 1 teaspoon per gallon. So I'm going to lower that dose quite a bit to about 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon. And then I'm going to check my parts per million on that and make sure that they're very, very low, because I don't want to give it a high dose of the bloom booster. I really like giving low doses of things, especially when I'm not used to feeding with a certain fertilizer. So this is my plan, and I'm going to just kind of keep you all posted on how this works. If I have a spike on this one, you know that it's going to work, but I will definitely do an update on this. I plan on doing this maybe every other time that I water it, or maybe even every third time, and just see what happens. At this low dose, I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and I'm just hoping that it wakes this little orchid up and that it blooms for me soon. So I'll keep everyone posted on its progress. And you all just have a wonderful day and be highly favored, deeply loved, and greatly blessed. And we'll talk to you next time.